Hello, it's Michael. Welcome to week 8. I just realized I used the term week 8 quite a bit to say we're going to change topics to talk about some other bigger picture, moving up the ladder issues. We're still in the realm of knowledge, or I'm sorry, in information right now. We haven't moved up to knowledge yet, which may seem like a really long time to fuss about with all these concepts that we've been doing. So let me give everyone an overview of what the course is intending to do. So first of all, I hope everyone saw that assignment 3 had the incorrect date. It's actually due this week, which is a link to Figma. If you are not using Figma and using drawings, I would still use Figma to place your drawings if that's something complicated, but still you could just put pictures in a row. What we're looking for is, or what I'm looking for is to start with the sitemap. How did you organize this information? Remember, this is information architecture. So part of the job is, or most of the job is figuring out how do people find their way through this massive amount of information. And what you'll hopefully see from now on is that the approaches to doing that are, at least in the way you guys have approached it, fairly similar. So you can always borrow from other people. I would say that no matter what subject you were able to find, the real work is the wording and the placement of, pardon me, different kinds of manipulation. So what you're really showing this week is somebody's going to choose something. They're going to come in, let's say the front door. They're going to choose something and you're going to show them some examples of what they would find when they navigate. And so to be even clearer, we're not talking about text searching, right? We're not talking about somebody wanting something out of your data. We want them to explore your data. So go back to week 1 when you were wandering around a space. You don't quite know what to do, but those signs and other things help you orient yourself as to what can be done in this particular place. We're doing the same thing, except we're doing it virtually. So don't forget, please read very carefully the assignment number 3 and what I'm looking for. That statement in there is very helpful. You can also start to look at, we're going to learn a couple of new techniques to talk about how people interact this week. Which is going to be in our week 8 storyboarding, readings and media. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some ways of how you show people navigating, and the purpose of this exercise is to give you enough of the fundamentals of information architecture so that you can use those to look at something else for the final. So you're going to be looking at another service. This will be the end of you actually trying to demonstrate your ideas, and it'll be the end of all the work that we've done since probably week 3. So in that case, we're wrapping it all up. One thing I noticed this week, a few things, hopefully, is that you'll start to see the goal of this iteration here is to post something early, get some feedback, delete it, change it, post it again, etc. So I still think the iterative part of this is going to be, well, we did the best we could. I know a lot of people find it difficult to do something and with their schedules do something again, but that was my hope, that our fidelity at this point is really low. The investment hopefully is low, because the first thing I would focus on, and let me just go here, is the record itself. This is where we started with HTML and looking to mark up and find out what's important about the record itself. And what I'm really looking for is things like this, headers, just as I was looking for in when you did HTML. What's your H1s? What's your H2s? I want to see that. So in this case, nice job here. This is a fairly good H1. This is a fairly good H2. So we're doing well to orient ourselves. And just to let you know, this is going to be really important as you look at other services. How do they manage this hierarchy so people can understand what they're looking at? If you're just lost and you're not seeing anything, which some of these might feel that way to me, I'm not really sure what to look at. Is this a design exercise? I would say a little bit, but not really. As an information architect, you don't necessarily have to design, but what you do have to do is say that your navigation style, which is up to you, helps someone find things in your database. So here's another example for where we're looking at a two-tiered navigation. So someone's chosen children and then they're chosen adventure. Great, you'll see, and all of you are going to be extremely challenged by this. I've mentioned it more than a few times about sort order. Just be aware of it, because that's going to be something you're going to notice very much in when you're looking at these other, when you're critiquing or trying to understand these other services for the final. So that sort order is really probably the most interesting question of our times, right? So I'll just throw out there this crazy idea that somebody had once to be able to rank all the websites. And this was called PageRank, and it was invented by Sergey Brin. And anyway, it was basically, that's what Google was. To figure out the sort order, they invented Google. Now, pretty big deal, right? Because Google, really, that's their biggest claim to fame, is they figured out how to sort a list. And you're going to have that same problem. Maybe you, again, are going to have a really hard time solving that. Trust me, it's understandable. Google had a hard time too. I notice a lot of people also are using what's, I guess, more of a filter here, which is fine. And I think, again, there's nothing, the goal of this class is that if you don't really know or feel comfortable with some of these things, you can just look to others and copy from them. That's fine, because really I'm looking at the words. I'm also looking at the density right now. If you've got something like here's actually a nice example where the entire of the United States seemingly is going to fit into these 8 terms. That's fantastic, right? So you've taken 50 states and turned them into 8. That is truly a work of information architecture, trying to simplify and make smaller the choices needed in order to move forward. So I'm going to be really looking at words. I'm going to be looking at these records to look for, again, headers. I'm going to be looking for a flow, meaning the flow is, how did you get here? Can you show me a sequence that shows me how you can get to a reasonable set of results? And I might offer some feedback, which is, in a certain way, don't focus too much on anything but the major navigation. How did you get here? So I'm trying to figure this one out. Oh yeah, someone selected nonfiction, then somehow they selected science and somehow selected this. Okay, so that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I would also wonder, what happens if you clicked on this? How do you get back? So there is a real challenge sometimes in information architecture, which is level of detail. How much do you show here? Do you show everything, which takes up a lot of room? You see you only get 3 records. Or do you want 30 records to be shown? Because you still have to fit things on a screen. So there's a little design here in terms of how do you cram as much as possible without it becoming overwhelming. So all of these are good starts. Please look at them, study them as you go into this week. There we go, storyboarding. So this week is going to have a lot of room. I would also counsel everyone, here's another big reveal, right? So 8 weeks you've been working in Mural. And what I hope you understand a little bit from Mural is you are creating information architecture. And let me just go back to week 7. So when you look at Mural, you make some choices about how you present your concepts. So you can see here, one thing I noticed quite a bit, and I try to, is to, like in this case, I'm using a particular feature in Mural that keeps everything organized for you. So it goes in order, and it adds things to the end. So it will make you do that. Also, you can see here I use some conventions. I go from left to right and tend to talk about different things in that way. As you paste your things into this, you might be able to struggle with where to put them and at what zoom level to put them at. So I want to start to make sure this week, because we're going to have sequences, and I think the sequences should be 6, something like that. I've just checked the assignment. 6 states, something like that, 5. So if we go back here to Storyboard, be conscious that everything can be put into a different zoom level in order to be take up less room. And you can always just zoom in. And you can also change things around. So remember this zoom level about here, or if you go, I believe, to this area, we're at 100% zoom right now, right in the middle. this is a good place to paste in a picture. And so when you zoom out, you see, you'll be able to see everything. So be very cautious about zoom levels. Things are going to be red from left to right. There's 10 of you, so you need to be conscious of this time actually using Mural as best as you can to present something nicely. Now, so that's this week, week 8. I promise week 9 will get up one level to knowledge, which is more fun and more probably interesting to your final paper. Hopefully that gives you a big picture overview of what's expected. If you do have questions, I'm happy to put together a Zoom call, but I still think it's easier for me to see you doing things and offer feedback than tell you what to do, which still has to be interpreted and done based on your data. So that's my concept now. Hopefully that works. Have a good week.